We're up for round 2 of the mess, so here we go.
What's going on YouTube?
Jamar,
What's going on YouTube?
Washington.
This is Omarion for here once again.
Hey, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Omarion here once again for this week's episode of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. We are in season 6, episode 2, you guys. So, first of all, I wanted to thank everybody for showing me so much love on my, I guess, return to Love and Hip Hop reviews. I have been doing it for so long and it felt so fun to get back into the fray again. I felt like a little, I don't know, like it's been so long I'm trying to get back into my groove thing, but y'all were really supportive of the video and I really do appreciate it. I want to go ahead and get into this part right here. So from last week, I tried to play the devil's advocate, okay, and trying to find support in this supposed relationship between April and Fizz, and it was mainly based on whether or not Omarion had feelings about this. Now, I had 2 of my real good like YouTuber friends. Shout out to Pretty PR Chick and Forest Rocks. Y'all go check out their channels on YouTube. They commented on my Instagram saying they didn't agree with it. They made valid points because they feel like it's a loyalty thing. You ain't gonna sleep with my baby mama, which is true. But I was like, I didn't want to guarantee and equate that was bad, only because we didn't know how Omarion felt up until now. So now that we've got Omarion's take, we can add that from this week's episode, and we're gonna further that discussion later on, so stay tuned. So first of all, we kick off the episode with this scene with April and Moniece. Now, VH1 editors are very misleading, okay, because they make it seem like these 2 people are going to have this fierce altercation. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really pumped, and it went. I felt confused primarily by this encounter, mainly because for the past few seasons of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, I have had some issues understanding completely Moniece's problem with the women, because let's take this episode for example. She felt like April or their baby daddy was disrespecting her motherhood because of Fizz lying, saying that they were going somewhere else when they were actually going to a trip in Chicago. Moniece, it seems to me, now I could be wrong, you know, VH1 only shows us so much, but it seems to me like you should be having most of this issue with Fizz. So if Fizz is the one that lied to you, saying where he was going with your child, I don't understand why you're confronting April about it. And they had this whole ordeal on the internet, this live that was viral or who knows what, where she talked about she sells out her punani for money. We don't care about that. But when she claims the disrespect, she goes after the women, when it's actually Fizz, usually, that's doing the disrespecting. Yes, he should have told you where your child was. It was stupid of Fizz to try to make up some lie and have his child even lie for him about where he was going. That was dumb, that was immature of Fizz, and that was weird. I was like, why would you? I felt like the truth will always sound better than this lie, because I feel like if you just told her where you were going, it's not like, I don't believe that there would have been an issue, or at least not as big of an issue as it is now. Be that as it may, Moniece decided to sort of mend fences with April. Now they're on better terms. So much better terms that she pulls her into the studio at this next meeting and they want to go on tour together? Now, on one hand, I understand her logic, because as a publicity, well, it's not really a stunt, but as a, you know, something going on that would catch attention in the public, if 2 people just kind of win at each other and then they kind of publicly make up and then decide to go on tour and make music, there's a chance that people might be interested to see what kind of music they would be making together, you know, how do they mend, you know, this whole relationship, and what kind of music can they make. They might be interested to see what may happen on stage. They might think something may happen on stage as far as they fighting again or whatever. that could sell tickets potentially for whatever the audience may be for Moniece's tour. But at the same time, some people could also look at this like, oh, well, I felt like they only did this whole viral video as this publicity stunt. They only got our attention just so they could sell tickets to this tour. And some people may be turned off by that. And, you know, be that as it may. I feel like this could be a good idea for them personally and not as much professionally. Because, honestly, who really cares? So now, when April shows up, along with, of course, Brittany B, Moniece, they're all here to support K Michelle at this showcase where she talks about how grateful she is that she has the surrogate that's going to help her make her dreams come true with these babies. So when they step outside, first of all, Brittany B kind of has like she gets introduced to April, of course, through Moniece. She said, Brittany, this is April. April, this is Brittany. You know, she sings. We're trying to go on tour together, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, Brittany B is like, oh, you know, I'm a producer. I've worked with many different people. You know, I'm able to sign artists. You know, what you got. She's showing interest in April's pursuing of a musical career. And it seemed as though, like, as she was sort of asking her, like, about herself and kind of letting her know, like, her sort of A&R style, April kind of got defensive and they started going about like where each other is from and this, that, and the fourth. And I'm like, April, as somebody is supposed to be trying to get into this game, I would feel like you would want to come off as more approachable, because especially when you're new, all you have are really first impressions, especially with like producers, other artists that you want to collaborate with, directors, whomever. You want to make the best first impression as possible without seeming like you're hard to work with, or, you know, it really boils down to being hard to work with. So Brittany's already kind of turned off by April at this point. Then in comes K Michelle. K Michelle is messy as hell. She lives for the drama on the show. She really just comes in, sings her song, stirs the pot, and dips. Because, you know, K Michelle don't be in the drama like that. She'll come and say a little something shady and let the web fly, but she ain't really gonna participate too heavy in the drama. So when Kay comes out, you know, she talked about, you know, hey, how's everybody doing, greeting everybody. And Moniece discussed, I know you probably think that it's awkward, that it's me and April kind of sitting across each other like this, but we have decided to, you know, work together, make money, and go on tour together. Kay Michelle was like, oh no ma'am. Kay was like, y'all are gonna kill each other. This is a horrible idea. And then she's like, oh well, is she gonna still be okay with it, you know, after she finds out that you kissed Fizz? Now again, it hasn't necessarily been proven at this point, but she continues to deny that her and Fizz are anything, that they haven't done anything. Like, she is sitting here denying. So it's just like, oh, okay. But I was glad to see that Moniece is like, look, I don't care. I don't care what Fizz does with his private parts. All I care about is mainly who's gonna be around my son and my son's well-being. And if she's gonna be around my son, then me and her need to have a relationship. And that I can respect. That much I can respect, because for a while, I couldn't tell if Moniece still had feelings for Fizz, to the point like, I know I don't necessarily want to be with you, but I don't want anybody else to be with you either. So that's the kind of vibe I was getting from Moniece. And it seems like if that was the case, she's gotten back to normal, as one could be. So where she's not as attached to Fizz, she just wants to be respected as as the child's mother. But sometimes I still feel like she goes a little bit far. But K Michelle is like, look, this ain't gonna work. Y'all gonna kill each other. And April's kind of like, well, why not? I feel like April's trying to look at this more as a business opportunity and an opportunity to make money, which I'm sure she probably does, because I don't know what else April does for money. And then April and Fizz know exactly what they're doing. They really do. Or at least the producers know exactly what they're doing. Because later on, we see April cooking breakfast, making mimosas, in these silk pajamas that's showing off all the curves, ass, and titties, face beat first thing in the morning, hair laid, And she's like, oh, well, Fizz just stayed overnight because, while he's on tour with B2K. And I'm like, girl, if y'all don't quit this charade, honey. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's not a such thing as platonic friends. There is. But this ain't the case. First of all, he came down there. He done got his mimosa. He talked about how fat your ass is. She tried to say, like, oh, he was here for me. I appreciate him helping me through me and O's breakup. Bitch. I bet you did appreciate what he did for you during O's breakup. But this is where we finally get somewhat of an idea of how Omarion sort of feels about April and Fizz even remotely hanging out. Apparently, he had put in, when they're doing this whole custody battle, he had included the fact that he believes that her and Fizz are having an affair. It's safe to say that he ain't with the shit. If that's the case, then yeah, this whole relationship can only go down into flames. Omarion, I feel like if you're gonna feel a way about this relationship, I feel like you have to communicate with both members of this, whatever this is. Because if you don't say anything, it's like, I mean, on one hand, I said Forrest Rocks brought up a good point. Whereas if I found out, if you found out that your best friend was with your girl and you felt a way about it, then you might not want to talk to them. But at the same time, if that person had been trying to reach out to you to try to maybe discuss or at least talk about whatever may be going on and you don't, it kind of makes it hard to kind of respect that. So I feel like based off of just the friendship that Omarion and Fizz have had in the past, even though they may not be cool now, they should be able to come together and discuss each other's feelings about the situation. Of course, everybody's grown, they're gonna do what they wanna do at the end of the day, but respect each other enough to have a conversation about it. Because did y'all see that scene where she talked about it would be perfectly fine if Fizz moved in while he's doing this tour thing? I'm like, okay, I really feel like y'all are trolling us at this point. I really feel like, even let's say, contrary to popular belief, that they are fucking. Let's say that they're not. They are gonna play this up just to troll us. Because there's no way that they would be trying to hide something like that and then just be like, oh, let's move in together and be platonic. Bitch. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to talk about is OG rap legend Yo-Yo is on the show. Now, for me, I know myself, I've heard her name before, but I'm unfortunately unfamiliar with a lot of Yo-Yo's early work or what originally made her into a star. But even though I may not be familiar with her from the past, from this episode thus far, I really like her energy. I feel like Yo-Yo's presence on this show is what that other manager that Apple Watts was trying to have last season. I feel like that's who she was trying to be, but she was too ratchet to do so. And whereas Yo-Yo coming and starting this school of hip hop, trying to do this showcase and, actually being in the business with some sort of repertoire of the business makes her a lot more respectable. It makes her a lot more believable. Okay, and it feels like she comes from such a more genuine place than whomever. I can't even remember her name at this point. Y'all remember that girl from last season, or that mama from last season who fought her daughter, ripped her wig off, and had her up there looking at a fool, thinking she could sing and she can't? I respect Ms. Yo-Yo for what she has done for female hip hop. She wants to expand the genre, and she believes in Apple Watts' talent. Now, Apple Watts has had some stuff done. She done got some new teeth. She done, out here looking good. Now, what I do not like, Miss Apple Watts, I do not like this make-believe ombre wig you got going on in this confession girl. I don't like that. I do not like it, bitch. She showcased how much she's trying to still go into this music game, how she's trying to make a life for her kids, which I believe we can all respect and we can all honor. When Yo-Yo was talking to Apple Watts about the power that she has and, you know, how she's supposed to be able to not give up and to believe in herself. Shortly thereafter, here comes Summer Bunny, her manager, and I'm like, this looks so orchestrated, but we're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna roll with it. She comes in. Apple doesn't really know her like that, but she just knows her name and reputation. And apparently, her and Lyrica are close. So when Yo-Yo starts to ask Summer Bunny, who's supposed to be an aspiring rap artist as well, to spit something, she does a little freestyle. Talks about, you know, what every other female rapper talks about. Licking, poon, sucking, the man sucking, licking, all of that. Yo-Yo's kind of like, okay, well, I see some potential here, I guess. And Apple Watch decided to shoot back at her with some bars of her own, honey. And she's like, oh, okay, well, you know, hi, my name is Summer Bunny. And of course, Apple Watch kind of throws her shade, talk about, I know who you are, this, that, and the fourth. And, you know, I heard that you a hoe. And, you know, she gives that whole spiel, right? So Summer, of course, gets hostile like any other woman would. But, you know, they start shouting and doing all the love and hip-hop thing. What was interesting and weird to me is that, like, after it was over, Summer started to get emotional and crying. I'm like, okay, well, this is due. She goes on this thing about how she feels, you know, people look at her and, oh, she's this homewrecker, and, oh, people have these different opinions about me. And Yo-Yo pretty much tells it to her straight, like, you have to have thick skin to be in this game, especially female rap. Like, y'all see, when it comes to, I honestly feel like, with the exception of maybe Missy Elliott, and I almost want to say Eve, I could be wrong, but I feel like those two have managed to be in the game and not necessarily have to deal with beef amongst other artists. I really feel like I'm wrong with Eve. I really feel like she did something that I'm just not aware of. But be that as it may, y'all know, like, the Cardis, the Nicki Minaj's, the Azealia Banks, the Iggy Azaleas, all are female hip-hop artists and have all had some sort of issue with another artist, even with each other. Now, I kind of feel a certain way about Megan Thee Stallion sort of associating herself with Nicki Minaj. I get it on a business standpoint, but something feels fake about that, just a little bit, but I could be wrong. But anyway, that's a whole other video. Apple wants to mainly show her loyalties to Lyrica, okay, in this whole discussion and fight about A1 and this girl, Summer Bunny. Now, speaking of Lyrica, Lyrica has blocked A1, not talking to A1. She done got her homegirls from Atlanta to come and talk about, you know, the issues and what they want to do and how she's feeling, this, that, and the fourth. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Lyrica isn't really so much bothered by the fact that A1 may have slept with some girl. I feel like she's kind of emotionally detached at this point, and she mostly cares about, like, how it makes her look. Like, she feels more embarrassed than, like, anger and jealous, you know what I mean? So, I mean, at this point, just based off of what she's told us and her whole demeanor about the situation, I don't see a reason for her to try to stay with him. She went in to talk about how she lost herself in the relationship. She, you know, was this artist. But then, like, when her and A1 got together, she was trying to be like, well, how does A1 want to wear my hair? Or how does, what kind of music does A1 want me to make? What kind of artist does A1 want me to make? And it's very common for people to sort of put aside their own ambitions and their own dreams when they get into these relationships because they want to please the other person, forgetting that you were a whole, complete person before that person. You know what I mean? So she gets emotional, and Princess did support her. And Princess says, you know, while I was pregnant, I found out that Ray was doing some shady stuff, and I understand how you feel. So they were able to have that moment with one another. At this event, at the end of the episode, because Apple wants to be petty, she brings Lyrica to Mr. Ray's event in hopes to see Summer Bunny and Lyrica there to be together and let the whole shit stir. And see, that was when it was really just getting good. Because I was like, okay, this is kind of what I'm here to see. I'm here to see this encounter between Lyrica and this girl. And then that's when they said, next time I Love and Hip Hop. I'm like, oh, bitch. Just when it was starting to get good. Like, this episode, it didn't have a lot in it. It was more so like a setup episode for the episode 3 and 4, which probably have a lot more drama in it. But, I mean, be that as it may, it's still good. And I think somebody had commented or tweeted me on Twitter that I haven't been talking about Black China. Listen, y'all. I'm not going to... More often than not, if there is nothing critically important from the scenes involving Black China, I do not want to talk about Black China. Even though she had a better scene presence this week than last week, I ain't gonna talk about it unless it's something good. All right. Now I know they talked about how Brittany and her mom, which is really an introduction to her storyline, not even Black China. We'll talk about her and her mom when that time comes, which looks like to be next week. But as far as just Black China goes, trying to be an artist, no. If y'all haven't heard that attempt of a song that she made, don't even Google it. She wasn't talking about the struggle and being in the public eye and what she's gone through. Bitch. That song does not reflect any of that. I don't even remember what the song was called, but all I know is the shit was awful. That's pretty much for this episode, you guys. Like I said, I tried to, discuss what I could make of the episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. My name is Jamar Washington, Jamar84 on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow me, tweet me, let me know in the comments what you thought about this week's episode. And I'm just ready to continue with the show, you guys. I really am enjoying it. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? I forgot to mention that when Mr. Ray and had this party where Summer Bunny and Apple Watch showed up, that Ray J and Princess came in and immediately didn't even try to do none of that small talk. Let me try to be nice at this man's party. They introduced themselves like, oh, you know my buddy A1. And it was immediately Summer Bunny knew what was up. She knew exactly what the fuck was up. She knew like, oh, these people don't like me. And Ray J and Princess read her for filth in the confessional, talk about, we know that she be hopping from deep to deep, trying to get a come up. And it's just like, oh, girl, so you ain't got hardly nobody in your corner except for Miss Yo-Yo, honey, at this point. But we gonna keep on watching. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Social media links will be in the bottom bar. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys pretty soon because I'm going to be uploading another animated horror story video for those who enjoy that. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe.